Jets, Seahawks, next game that we're going to here. Thought it looked like it could have been a Jets victory, but the second half told a different story. We'll get to that in a second. Seattle wins this one 26-21. Top 5 graded Seattle Seahawks players in the Leonard Williams revenge game.
Big cat.
Top of the list, 92.6 overall grade, thanks to his pick 6, which was just incredible to watch, unless you're a Jets fan. Safety Julian Love with the 86.1. Overall grade, cornerback Tyreek Woolen with a 79.3, safety Kobe Bryant with a 77.5, and then wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba 72.5. Another homecoming game for Geno Smith, 75.9 overall grade for him. On the Jets side of things, cornerback Sauce Gardner, his best game of the season? Gotta be. I don't have them all right in front of me, but 90.1 feels like it has to be. It's been a bit of a struggle of a year for Sauce, but good to see him on the top of that list. Linebacker Quincy Williams with an 87.0, linebacker Jamian Sherwood with an 82.2, center Joe Timmon a 76.7, and then guard John Simpson a 76.6. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers in this one a 64.7. Dalton, what's your stat that told the story here?
Okay, every week I watch the Jets because I'm a sicko. And there's just something that comes up that's like, oh yeah, it's that too, right? And in this one, it was the penalties. 12 penalties for 83 yards. I believe it was 7 or 8 of them in the fourth quarter.
That's a lot of penalties.
4 of them on the Seahawks game-winning drive. 3 of those 4 on fourth down. We're talking about Will McDonald lining up offside. We're talking about a Solomon Thomas horse collar. We're talking about pass interference at any level you can think of. And look, this has been a problem since Robert Saleh was the head coach, and now it's still most of his staff there, just without him. The 4th most penalized team in the NFL this year. They've been somewhere around that each of the last 3 or 4 years. It's just another same old Jets problem that comes up, and it really cost them this game, especially the penalties. They had a meltdown with penalties in the fourth quarter. Even as the Seahawks, they were clawing their way back, but it was ugly. This was an ugly game for Seattle, especially from the beginning. That first half, I guess a little bit of a, I don't want to say it. Should I say it? A little bit of jet lag.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I had to. Anyway, see, I told you before the show. I try to get all the stupid things I say out before the show, and some of them.
You left one.
Yeah, some of them just stay in there. But anyway, no, the Jets and the penalties, among all the other issues they usually have with the offense deflating even more as the year goes on, and their defensive line and everything else. In this game, their defense played relatively well outside of the penalties, but it was way too many penalties.
Remember the Thursday night football game that they played the Houston Texans, and it just looked like the worst football game anybody's ever seen in the first half?
Oh, yeah.
And we sort of talked about it like, okay, well, this is kind of the Jets, right, where they make offense look very difficult at times. When it's not going well for the Jets, it looks like it's just incredibly difficult to move the football. That was them in the second half. I mean, this is the story of sort of the Jets offense with Aaron Rodgers out there at quarterback. And, they scored 21 points in the first half. They go into the first half with a lead. 0 points in the second half. 0. Their second half possessions, 7-play punt, fumble, 3 and out, turnover on downs. Ball game. That's it. That was it. Got to be more efficient than that. Got to be able to sustain that. Now, you look at and.
I mean, we have no reason to believe they're going to be.
No, and we don't. And so that brings up my most disappointing, because I can wrap this into it. As a Bucs fan myself, Tom Brady was fantastic for them when he came over to Tampa Bay. Obviously won a Super Bowl. They were great the year after. They were even great the year after that, I would say. They were going through some, Byron Leftwich is not an NFL caliber offensive coordinator. They're going through some problems along the offense.
Still won a division too, though.
Right.
Found a way.
No. And so I want to be clear, like, they still got it done. But Brady had one of the lowest time to throws in the NFL. He didn't want to get hit. Leonard Williams, after this game, they're kind of asking him about playing Aaron Rodgers. And he said, we look stuff up and we watch tape on him, and he doesn't want to get hit. And there are a lot of times when he throws the ball before he should, and he just tries to make up for it by anticipating even further into the future to say, like, okay, well, normally this is a hike, 5-step drop, I'm looking a certain way, I'm letting it fly, putting enough touch under it. It's sort of like a timing throw or whatever, and it's just going to be a basket throw or a back shoulder throw or whatever it is. Now, he does not want to get hit. Understandable. I wouldn't want to get hit against NFL defensive linemen. But Leonard Williams is basically saying, if you disrupt him at all whatsoever, even if you're not about to sack him, like if you give him any sort of pressure, he is getting rid of that ball so fast, and he's just trying to anticipate it even like a step further. And it's not working out. And that's why the offense looks so difficult, because he's not willing to hang tough and make the hits. So I looked it up. Rodgers, 60.6 adjusted completion percentage when pressured this season. That's 30th in the NFL. He hates getting pressured. That ball is coming out of his hands as soon as possible. So Leonard Williams sort of gave us something here to be like, oh, yep. And there were complaints about that when Tom Brady was with the Buccaneers. Now, the complaints weren't too loud because they were winning. But when they stopped winning, when they started to really struggle more, especially in Brady's last year, we heard it more and more and more. He doesn't want to get hit. He's not doing what he needs to do to give his wide receivers that extra half second to break free, and then that half second for him to deliver the ball the way it needs to adjust for how the wide receiver is breaking free. Because Rodgers isn't even waiting for that point. He's just trying to anticipate it. So that's the most disappointing for me is Rodgers seems to be going down the same path that Brady was in his final year.
It's the part where and I think you also watch him, especially over the last few weeks to me, and just go, I don't think he can do anything else about it. I think that's
in the first half there was that one series at the goal line, right? Where he was running all over the place.
Sure,
he looked like a 24-year-old.
There's that one here and there,
but he doesn't want to do it all the time.
He can't do it all the time.
You're right.
And this is a guy 2 years ago. He was playing through a broken rib and a torn thumb ligament, wasn't he? Last year tore the Achilles. This year has had some leg injuries that he doesn't want to disclose, but you can clearly see, especially like in that Minnesota game, his hamstring. I mean, he's been getting hit. If you're on a football field, you're going to get hit. And if you're thinking about getting hit at any position, not just quarterback, you have an issue, and everyone's going to notice. And you know what they're going to do when they see you're afraid to get hit? They're going to hit you.
Of course.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Of course.
And they're going to want to hit you. And like Leonard Williams said, he was like, listen, all we have to do is disrupt this guy. And I'll tell you what, Leonard Williams sure did disrupt Aaron Rodgers, didn't he? How about a 92.6 grade for him in this game in the Leonard Williams revenge game? I'm sure he does. He's not a big fan of both sides of New York City at this point. But 4 pressures, couple of sacks, 3 stops. The pick 6 is one of the best plays you're going to see all season. They run a 0 blitz, but of course they drop off a nose tackle Leonard Williams because, well, what's Aaron Rodgers going to do to beat a 0? He can't move like that anymore. He's not going to take off and run like maybe a Josh Allen would. So drop someone where you think it's going to be hot. And that's actually the second time this year we've seen this. The Minnesota game, the Andrew Van Ginkel pick 6. Same thing. 0 blitz, drop where we know they're going to be hot. This offense is really predictable. Get someone right in there. House it. Also, I got to say, I did not know Leonard Williams was that fast. He was blazing.
I knew he was that fast. I do love the fact that nobody faster was in range to get him, right? Because when he picks that off, you're rooting for a fat man touchdown. And when it was very clear that the only ones who had a chance to get him were the offensive linemen, well, then you knew he was going to score.
He was flying. I had never seen
a good 40, didn't he?
Probably. Well, he was a freak. There was some people in that draft class I remember who were like, "This is actually the best football player in this draft."
His 40-yard dash was a 4.97, which is 77th percentile for defensive tackles.
Hell, he looked faster than that. Honestly, he was blazing, I thought. I mean, he must have had the adrenaline going because he took off and he was just gone. But no, I mean, just an incredible play. And I think, again, it kind of shows you the Jets offense and how predictable it is. That's the second time this year we've seen a pick 6 like that because we know Rodgers is going hot and we know where he's going hot too. And it just so happened that Leonard Williams is the guy who had the big game, of course, against the Jets, the team that drafted him after running that 4.97 and got the big pick 6 and a couple of sacks and one of the best games. I haven't checked. It might be the highest grade of his career, honestly.
My
What a
most
game.
impressive in this one was Zach Charbonnet. Not a ton of work, only 4 carries, 28 yards, but 3 first downs. So 3 out of the 4 carries that he had, he was able to get a first down. He had a pretty high forced missed tackle per attempt average. He had that 1 touchdown in this one, and it was just very nice to see Zach Charbonnet as the spellback to Kenneth Walker, because I think that Charbonnet is one of the best RB2s in the NFL, and he doesn't always get the recognition for it, but I think he's fantastic, so wanted to shout him out here.
Most disappointing for me we're going to add to the list of struggling running backs in Breece Hall. Now, 12 carries for 60 yards is cool, but 2 fumbles and 1 lost in this game, plus a drop in the receiving game. Breece Hall's got a 57.5 overall grade this season.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah,
Even for as bad as it's been.
Yeah, you know what'll do it? 6 fumbles and 6 drops.
That'll do it.
It's really been since week 1. He had a fumble that they lost against San Francisco, and it's just been the same. The ball security with him, and I don't know if it's a lack of focus with the way the season's going or what, but Breece Hall, not the same player this year that he was last year, and then it's just another thing going wrong for the Jets.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.